because I was, when we start recording now, I was supposed to already be recording, so that's why I forgot. I was not doing that.
In terms of the strategy to get more people in, one thing I'm curious about are there ways that we can pitch in? Like, or is that something that's sort of happening that people are doing, or is that something that staff can contribute to in terms of the funnel of people into the community?
Sarah, do you want to jump in on the efforts underway there?
Sorry, I was working on getting this slide deck link. Uh, the efforts to bring more people into the community. And so Minerva has worked on an email campaign. It's a series of, I think, 7 emails that are going to go to an email list of like people who, school and district leaders who were already in our email database, which is like less than 1,000. But that email campaign is going to give us an opportunity to learn like what kind of messaging might work. And then we'll be looking, I think, after, well, maybe running parallel, but after we get a little more insight about whether that messaging is getting any traction, we'll be looking to identify more groups of people, school and district leaders, who we can potentially do a similar email campaign with. So one of the thoughts I have is like the districts where people are reading the book, potentially looking into like who are the contacts there, might we want to like reach out to them more intentionally. Also like other people that we've partnered with recently, if we're missing some of their emails, if they haven't gotten an invite yet. But we'll be open, like everybody at any time can always invite people. And the other arm of that is getting our social media, strengthening the social media channels, and hopefully growing the people who are paying attention to what we have to say in those spaces, to also bring more people in.
Yeah. And just connecting a little bit about some of the work that it ends up being invisible, that's a large level of effort too, was just all that went into kind of cleaning up and organizing our contents as well, and creating some ways that Mighty Networks can communicate with other ways of outreach. So that's been a huge effort, as well as there's with the work of a contract employee that Sarah's working with, and thinking about our new member onboarding experience and how they move through the community. And so we're really attending to both the funnel of getting people in, but what is their experience when they actually get there? So there's been a lot of work behind the scenes to attend to both who are we targeting, when they get there, how do we make sure that they stay engaged? And so Jesse, to your point, is as new members enter, knowing if there are relationships that you have with those people, it's always really helpful to make that connection. And so in some degrees, as we're monitoring that, we might be pinging or tagging, partners to say, hey, your client is in here now, or so-and-so's back. So, yeah.
Thank you both so much. And I just want to name that I feel like the consistency has really increased just in terms of what I'm seeing show up in my inbox. And yeah, I can definitely like feel all of the effort, and I really appreciate it. This is kind of a technical question, but it gets at maybe like some of the challenges I think you're trying to address. And my question is about the difference between people opening an email versus actually logging on. And I ask this because thinking about the way that I engage with other online communities or other organizations that offer resources, I frequently open emails and will read the body of the email and then not necessarily click anywhere beyond that. I'm thinking of like Elena Aguilar, Bright Morning, or NEP. So what's the strategy around that, I guess, is one curiosity. And then is there any relationship, and I don't know if you're able to track this, between opening an email and then stopping there versus like opening an email and going to the community?
I love this question.
The answer is yes.
Because we do have data on it. And that's actually a huge chunk of learning we've done over the last maybe like 9 months, especially, is just using MailChimp. And that's why like part of that consistency is that monthly email. It's more like weekly emails, but definitely the introducing the theme each month in an email and the roundup each month in the email. So our open rate hovers around like 55 to 60%, which ends up being like 250 people that open those emails that we send to our online community members. But the click-through rate, like we actually have data on like what do people click when there are like tons of links in there. The click-through rate is like very, very low. We're talking just a handful of people clicking on each email. So we have done lots of like small tests of like trying like different linking, like video, linking different things, the visually, like the way we do it, more content, less content, more of a teaser, like, but our click rate maybe has improved a tiny bit, but we haven't gotten there, which is why we're looking for this outside expertise. So I'm really hoping that Minerva, I mean, she's just brilliant. She brings so many skills that we have been desperately needing. So I'm really optimistic that like she's gonna help us like make some of those adjustments that we need to make to increase the click-through rate to actually get people in the community. But I can also say that like there are some people, like our staff especially, who I see commenting on things and interacting with things after those emails, like nearly right after those emails go out. So that's also encouraging, but we need to grow that behavior. That answer your question?
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly say a little connected to that is that a lot of what last year was too was learning how we need to staff this work, what we know, what we don't know, what we have in-house, and where we need support. And so that what Sarah's saying has been an evolution to arrive at knowing we need Minerva's support. And so having some of that expertise and appreciating that there are so many layers to this work, and there's a true discipline in that people have expertise that we need in order to be really strategic. And so it started a while back with like a bunch of links, right? Or like just being really targeted about it all. And so it's been helpful to fill that void and to learn around how to do that work.
Yeah, I mean, Anna and Noah were two people who were like leading spaces for your networks in those groups and like doing amazing things. And you can speak to like, it's really hard to build this in the virtual space. And what we learned over time was like we kept running into a wall with lacking this marketing expertise and the marketing skill to actually grow the funnel to bring more people in. And the good news is that aligns with one of our core priorities in our drivers this year. So that's exciting. Sanaya, any final thoughts?
Just happy to talk more. So, I mean, if there's more questions that are emerging or curiosities, let us know. We'll have to re-record this. You'll see version 2.0 might be a little bit more polished, but thank you.
We need like a 2-hour session where we set examples of, pieces that are in and what worked and what didn't and how we were modifying. And I also think there's an opportunity to individuate. For instance, I know Noah has dozens of fans of his love of math in Philly. They should be a network. They should be there, having a conversation, sharing resources, and that's probably true of every one of our team members, right? So a way of individuating or personalizing and leveraging our own professional space. Exactly, right? That would be very cool.
That's why I think the point early on is this is an investment in our future, and there's layers and layers and layers. And what we're trying to do is be thoughtful around our use of resources. We don't want to abandon anything that we've invested resources in without, really zooming in and knowing that we did our best within that area. But we also don't want to exhaust a bunch of resources and not move the needle forward. And so we're trying to make that balance. There's still a lot of work that we could resource that could get us farther, but we're taking it in steps.
All right, and it's time to transition.
Woo!
With that, if you're planning to move, Becky and Derek, I'm sure would love for folks to stay. And I'm actually gonna